100.1 FM and News Radio 1020 KDKA AM. I am Bubba from 100.7 Star. This is the Star Richard Bazzy from Schultz Ford. This is Cars, Stars, and everything in between. And on with us this morning is Stryker. Welcome to Cars, Stars, and everything in between.
Good morning. Thank you, Bubba. I really appreciate you having me on the show.
Stryker.
Yes,
there
Bazzy.
has to be a name behind that. What's your real name?
That is actually my actual last name. I was born with it, and I used it on radio when I worked at WHFS 99.1 in the DC, Washington metro area back around 2002. And now I currently just run my company and run the SteelerNation.com podcast for SteelerNation.com.
So that's interesting because, as I said at the beginning, sometimes I'm a little backwards. I'm not with the most current terminologies or podcasts or any of that. But I do ask right up front, basically, who are you? What do you do? What function do you serve in this podcast? Mm-hmm. And tell me what your favorite subject is. Hopefully it's Steelers, because I really didn't do much prep for this. And I'll tell you why. It's because I know you talk Steelers, and I like to just go right from the gut with the Steelers because that's my passion.
Yeah, if the listeners have access to video, you can see by my decor behind me, I am a complete Steelers diehard. I've been a season ticket holder since Tomlin joined in 2007, and I am the host of the podcast. I've been running it for 3 years now, and I'm a writer on there as well, and for SteelerNation.com, and also am an avid member of the football forum over there. So it's a lot of fun to go over there and chat at the SteelerNation.com football forum and look at the Steeler paraphernalia we have there over there on Bazzy's wall. That's nice.
So you see, my office is a montage of junk, and it is all Steelers junk. I have footballs. So I have a great story. That one football was handed to me by Hines Ward at the game, caught a touchdown. My mom's season tickets are on the 50-yard line, row one. And so Hines Ward caught the ball, walked over, went to the bench first, signed it, and walked over and handed it to me.
Oh, it's perfect.
So it's really great. So Steelers, all Steelers.
All Steelers.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I just get so excited about the Steelers. I could talk forever.
Me
about
too.
This team. and so Stryker, tell me, what excites you most about the Steelers right now in year 2021?
For me, it has to go to the draft. And that is where I always get my re-excitement, because I'm always on a low, especially after a playoff loss with Cleveland last year. But as soon as we got to the draft and we started picking up talent, and especially in the first two picks, with picking up Harris there with the first pick, and then Freiermuth with the second pick, the tight end out of Penn State, who I said would be the only player we would take on that day if he was available over any offensive lineman. And we actually did take him. So it made me look like a prognosticator when we were covering the draft, which we covered. I was on the air for 20 straight hours for the draft over 3 days. So
wow.
That's what gets me excited. I get excited over the new players. I get excited meeting them and interviewing them. And then of course it ramps me up and keeps my excitement rolling through training camp and getting excited for the season, obviously.
Well, you certainly seem to have a lot of passion, and you can talk forever. 20 hours seems to be a lot. I don't know if I could do 20 hours anymore.
It was over 3 days, but yeah, it was a long time, but we had a good time.
But I'm with you. I love the strategy. I love second guessing, being the Monday morning quarterback and second guessing the strategies. The Steelers have always been close to my heart, and we do business with the Steelers. So it's awesome. It's very I'm very intrinsically involved in all that, and I love it. But you said the playoffs, and you said such a playoff loss.
Yes.
Sometimes I get stuck on that. Can't get past that first snap. I can't get past seeing that visual, and I can't get past. Sorry, Ben. I can't get past being so angry when I watch that ball went. He watched it just sit there, and it just makes me infuriated to see that.
And it hurts me too on a personal level to see that Hall of Fame caliber, Marquise Pouncey, who's been with the team for a decade, just being the incredible center and athletic player that he is, now is going to kind of be remembered for one of his last plays in his last game, that first snap of the game that ended up going way over Ben's head. And that's unfortunate because He had a hell of a career. I wanted Ben to jump on the ball, but I think he was expecting the running back to jump on the ball. We don't expect Ben to make the shoestring tackles off of the fumbles running back out of the end zone anymore. But
yeah, you mean the running back that's no longer with us either.
Right.
That running back?
Unfortunately.
That running back?
But
yeah.
But we've got a new athletic running back, Bazzy. I think Najee Harris would have been able to jump on that ball no problem at the 2-yard line. And
he
we would
was
not have
my pick.
them. 7 picks.
I wanted him so badly. I was hoping we would get him.
Yes.
Because so much controversy over don't take a running back. Why? Where does that come in?
And I'm with you there too. I was balancing that between Travis Etienne, and I wasn't sure which one was better until I really started delving in depth into Najee Harris. And the most impressive thing to me about Najee Harris is in 4 years, he had 2 fumbles, 2, lost 1. And it was arguably, Alabama fans will even tell you, it's a fumble where he was stood up by 3 people and the ball was ripped out of him for like a couple seconds. Like, it's forward progress had stopped. So
that's absolutely an amazing stat.
Yeah.
But what I personally liked about him more than anything is I always had hoped that we would have a running back that just put his head down, put his shoulders down, and didn't stop moving his legs. Basic football, right?
Yeah.
And the Green Bay back, when that was in play, when he had a new contract, and who is that? Aaron? No, not Aaron. What's his last name? The running back in Green Bay.
Oh goodness!
Is it Aaron Jones? Aaron Jones.
Yeah, Jones.
Yeah. So when he was available, I'd look at his style and I would think, oh my goodness, wouldn't it be wonderful to have somebody like that? He just doesn't stop. And Najee Harris is that kind of back. And that's what I love about him. He puts his head down. He just doesn't stop. And look at his commitment to the community already.
Well, that's what I was going to say. My favorite thing about that draft is the type of human being that he is. He really, really fits into the Rooney Steelers mindset.
Yeah, especially being at the homeless shelter on draft day. You never hear about that for a first-round draft pick. They're always flying out, going to the shows, getting interviewed, because he knew he was going in the first round. He knew he's the top running back in the draft. But what does he do? He stays in California. He goes to visit the shelter where he and his family utilized it for months growing up so that they could get back on their feet and continue their path. And the way he's giving back to that community already as a young man is just, it's inspiring. Absolutely inspiring.
Well, he's certainly an impact player on the field and off, and I'm really excited for that. But the Steelers, I really, every year we say the same thing. This is their year. This is their year. We have so much talent.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to see it all come to fruition. What do you think their biggest strength and what do you think their biggest weakness is?
Biggest strength is probably going to be their defense as it was last year. Getting Bush back is really going to help solidify that defense to the playmaking abilities that they were doing earlier in the season. Once he went down, I forget the gentleman that picked up after him. Why am I drawing a blank? At the younger inside linebacker that he had the interception. Spillane, thank you very much. Yeah, Robert Spillane. He had the interception first thing in that Ravens game, set the table and really set up how we were going to be dominant in that game on defense, ended it on a big defensive play there with Minka Fitzpatrick. That is the strength, but here's another small strength that I'm really excited about this year.
And Stryker, hang on here, because when we come back on Cars, Stars, and everything in between, we'll give you a chance to talk about the other strength, and then we'll get more in-depth with Steeler Nation. That's Richard Bazzy. I'm Bubba from 100.7 Star. This is Stryker, and this is Cars, Stars, and everything in between on 100.1 FM and News Radio 1020 KDKA AM. 100.1 FM News Radio 1020 KDKA AM. This is Cars, Stars, and everything in between. That's Richard Bazzy, the Star from Schultz Ford. I'm Bubba from 100.7 Star. And Stryker, the official name of your Steeler Nation podcast is?
The SteelerNation.com podcast at SteelerNation.com. It can be found anywhere where podcasts are available.
And you were talking before we left about something else you're excited about with the Steelers for this upcoming season.
Yes. The next thing that I was excited about is actually the change in the guard for offensive coordinator, having Matt Canada move in with that diverse offense. That's what I'm excited to see. Utilizing players to their strengths, moving them around schematically to create mismatches against the other team. We're used to watching the New England Patriots doing this week in and week out over seasons. And now we have that kind of coach, which is going to be doing it with this new young talent, this new wide receiver crew, Najee Harris now in the backfield, and now Pat Freiermuth as well at tight end. So I'm really excited how he's going to utilize the strengths of this young team with Ben Roethlisberger being able to distribute the ball to these gentlemen.
It'll be interesting to see because Matt Canada loves running a jet sweep in his offense. That's a vital part of his offense. It'll be interesting to see if he transitions that to the Steelers organization with jet sweeps.
Yeah, well, you have to have a fast enough running back to be able to pull off a jet sweep. I mean, maybe McFarland has that kind of speed to pull off a jet sweep in the NFL. And sometimes you can utilize some of the running backs or wide receivers actually to pull one back in the backfield. We know Deontay Johnson can move the ball very well with his feet as well. Claypool as well with the short area situations. He's been able to move the ball pretty well with his feet too. So I'm kind of interested to see how that can mix in and make it more diverse as opposed to sitting there waiting. Oh, here comes the wide receiver bubble screen. Oh, here comes that end around. Okay,
it's a 3-yard pass.
Yes, right. We're going to have more than that this season. And that's what I am the most excited about. And you asked me about a weakness as well. And I do have one area of the team that really still just I'm really nervous about it. And it is the nickel cornerback position, because I really don't know what it is. We had two awesome nickel cornerbacks in Sutton and Hilton. Hilton was one of my all-time favorite players. Just loved his playmaking ability. And
I liked them also.
And Steelers just weren't expecting to not only lose Hilton, they were fine. Like, we're going to keep Sutton. Hilton's going to go. And that's what happened. But then we had problems with Nelson, because then it became a contest with Sutton and Nelson. Hey, you guys are going to compete for that other outside quarterback spot opposite of Hayden. And I guess Nelson didn't want to compete. He knows he's in a contract year. He wants to get paid. So he said, I don't want to compete. I suppose. I guess that's kind of the reasons, or his feelings to want to leave the team. And that kind of leaves a vacuum. So now we have Sutton. And Sutton, it looks like to me at this date that he is going to be the starting outside cornerback on the one side. But when we move to nickel, he's going to move inside. And we're going to have to throw somebody else over there. So, and if Sutton gets an injury, I mean, now we're down 2 positions. So this is the area of the team that I am the most antsy about for this season. Less or so with the offensive line. I know people say we got new offensive linemen coming in, but it's right now it's the secondary right there with the cornerback position.
Well, I agree with that, and I think that's usually a concern for us. I love the defense, but going to a 17-game schedule, injuries have to be calculated in there.
Yes,
they're going to happen, and like you said, if something happens to Sutton, what happens? I agree with all of that. One of the things about Matt Canada and the offense, now I have heard first 11 games, we were 11-0.
Yeah.
Right. And then I believe that was Matt Canada calling those plays. And I believe that after 11-0 start, I believe that Matt didn't call the plays any longer. And I think that's a really big factor.
Yeah, for me, it was mostly the difference between the 11-0 Steelers and the 1-5 Steelers. To me, was more injuries and the way that we had to do something that no other NFL team has ever done. And that is, we played our 3 games in 12 days. That happens to teams when they play a Thursday game. You're playing 3 days in 3 games in 12 days, and then you have a week and a half off to rest. What happened was the Steelers only had under a week for rest and went right back into the next game. So they played 4 games in 19 days, which has never been done in the NFL. And that is where everybody started to drop. That is where, you started getting everybody banged up, and they never had enough time to rest, recover, and get better, because right at the end of the season, when they rested all those main players for that last game, it seemed like they needed another week when they came back out on the field, because they were our absolute best players. Everybody was banged up, and you needed to have like a full healthy team moving forward. And I will agree with you to a point. I think that we were doing a lot of the pre-snap motion in the first couple weeks of the season there, Bazzy, which I did see, which is a mainstay for the Matt Canada offense. You're going to see a lot of pre-snap motion to move players to get the mismatches that you want Ben Roethlisberger to exploit.
And to read the defenses.
Exactly. Great point, Bubba. Yeah.
And Ben does that very well.
Yeah.
So
He really does do that.
can I throw out one name and get your opinion, Stryker?
Sure.
Because I have a very definitive opinion. Dwayne Haskins.
Dwayne Haskins. I have a strong opinion on Dwayne Haskins. I live in the DC metro area. I'm up around Frederick, Maryland. Seen some Dwayne Haskins. It's for me, Dwayne Haskins is a no risk situation, not a low risk situation. He is a no risk situation. We got the 15th player in the draft 2 years ago, 3 drafts ago, for nothing. We're paying him on a 1-year futures contract. If he makes the team, awesome. We just got a first-round talent on the roster.
This is the guy.
nothing.
Remember, this is the guy that beat out Joe Burrows that caused him to transfer.
Yes, and well, back in it was Ohio State, right? Was that where
Yes.
he went? I believe, yeah. He was he was a hell of a quarterback in Ohio State. I know, living in the DC area, Washington is a dumpster fire. There's no consistency across all of the front office. I actually go in there for work sometimes, and I've met a lot of the people in the front office, and it's constantly rotating. Dan Snyder has no idea how to run an NFL team.
Bingo!
And he's been doing it. He's been running that team into the ground since, unfortunately, since Jack Kent Cook, God rest his soul, family owner that which Steelers fans can relate to with the Rooney family. Once he passed away and they sold it to Snyder. I mean, that team has been a zero non-factor team at all. And so with all this rotation, though, I do like their current coach. I really do like their current coach. And they seem to have a miscommunication, at least because that quarterback was not that coach's quarterback because he came the year after Haskins came in.
But bringing that back to Dwayne Haskins.
Yeah, off the tangent.
Back to Dwayne Haskins. My opinion, I love Dwayne Haskins.
Me too.
I love him. I love him for the upside potential, but more than the potential, I love what I think he can do. And I would be so excited to see him do it and to overcome the negativity that I don't believe was really, it shouldn't have had the penalty that it carried for him. But everybody makes mistakes.
Agreed.
But I think this young man has the talent, has the ability to fit into NFL's quarterback today, the today quarterback. And I think he can fit right into that.
And I like that he has Mike Tomlin now as a mentor and a coach that will really understand his struggles to help to get the best out of him. That's what I'm excited to see. Is he going to beat out Dobbs? I mean, to me, it's a no-lose situation. If he ends up being better than Rudolph, I mean, heck, it's a no-lose situation. He has the talent to be better than all of them.
Stryker, I've got to tell you, this is the fastest Car Stars and Everything in Between show we've ever done. Would you not agree with that, Richard?
Oh, it's fabulous. I love you. You're great.
Thank you, gentlemen. It's a pleasure to be speaking with the two legends of Pittsburgh. Thank you very much, Bubba and Bazzy, for having me on, man.
This is Cars, Stars, and Everything in Between on 100.1 FM and News Radio 1020 KDKA AM.